Nobody had Ukraine on their Operation Epic Fury bingo card. But here's what just happened. According to Fortune magazine, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy made unannounced visits to Saudi Arabia on March 27th, then the UAE and Qatar on March 28th, and came home with something significant. According to Fortune, Ukraine has already signed 10-year security agreements with Saudi Arabia and Qatar, with a third deal with the UAE expected shortly. What is Ukraine selling? The exact capability that has been tormenting Iran's biggest ally for 4 years. According to Quantosay's defense analysis, Ukraine has deployed 201 anti-drone experts to the Middle East. Ukraine is offering battle-tested interceptor drone technology, maritime drone systems, electronic warfare, and the operational playbook that cost Russia roughly 1/3 of its Black Sea fleet. And according to Zelenskyy himself, speaking to reporters, simple sales do not interest us. This is a decade-long strategic partnership, not a one-off transaction. Here is the twist that makes this genuinely interesting. Iran armed Russia with the exact drones that have been hitting Ukrainian cities for years. Ukraine is now using that knowledge to arm the people Iran is blockading. That is not coincidence. That is calculated. To understand why Qatar and Saudi Arabia are signing 10-year deals with a country that is simultaneously fighting for its own survival, you need to understand what Ukraine pulled off in the Black Sea. At the start of Russia's full-scale invasion, Russia's Black Sea fleet was considered a serious threat, a blue water force that could enforce a blockade of Ukraine's ports and project power across the region. According to the Defense News' analysis, Ukrainian operations have addressed roughly 1/3 of that fleet. Russia's warships have largely withdrawn from Crimea to Novorossiysk on the Russian mainland, away from Ukrainian striking range. Ukraine did not do that with a navy. It did it with domestically developed sea drones, the Magura and the Sea Baby, combined with ballistic missile strikes on larger vessels and a layered ship protection system. According to Euronews, Zelenskyy told Gulf leaders directly, "We shared our experience with the Black Sea corridor and how it operates. They understand that our armed forces have been highly effective in unblocking the Black Sea corridor. We are sharing these details." According to Zelenskyy's UK Parliament speech on March 17th, cited by CNBC, he proposed, "If, together with partners in the Middle East, we build a system like Ukraine's, they will be able to track attacks from Iran in real time, analyze them, keep improving their defense, giving trade routes real security. The Gulf states facing Iranian fast attack boats, drone swarms, and mines in the Strait of Hormuz are looking at Ukraine's Black Sea strategy and seeing a blueprint that cost less, took less time, and worked without a single traditional warship. That is exactly what the Strait needs." Here is the specific problem the Gulf states have with Iran's drone campaign, and why Ukraine's solution is different from everything else on the market. Gulf nations, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, have been using Patriot missiles and other high-end interceptors to shoot down Iranian Shahed-type drones. According to Hudson Institute's earlier analysis, the UAE may have depleted 20 to 40% of its interceptor magazine depth, just maintaining 90+% intercept rates. Each Patriot PASI-3 interceptor costs somewhere between $4 million and $6 million. Each Iranian Shahed drone costs approximately $20,000. Ukraine solved this problem differently. According to Quantosay's defense analysis, Ukraine's interceptor drones can down a Shahed for an estimated $2,000 per engagement, cheaper than the drone they are shooting down. According to Fortune's reporting, Ukraine has developed low-cost interceptor drones that collide with Russia's Shahed variants, taking them out in the skies. In February 2026, more than 70% of Shahed-type drones launched at Kiev were reportedly taken out by these interceptors rather than by expensive missiles. That ratio is what every Gulf air defense commander in the region needs right now. According to Euronews, Zelenskyy was direct about the package being offered. Not just interceptors alone, but also defense lines, software, electronic warfare systems, and so on. In other words, we are taking a systemic approach to this. The Gulf nations are not buying a weapon. They are buying an integrated system that Ukraine has been battle refining since 2022. There is a reason Ukraine's expertise is uniquely suited to this exact problem. And it is not a coincidence. Iran provided Russia with Shahed drone technology early in the Russia-Ukraine war. Russia built domestic production facilities around that Iranian design. According to Fortune's reporting, Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha labeled what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz as painfully familiar on March 21st, stating, "Russia did the same in the Black Sea, blocked maritime trade trying to strangle Ukraine's economy and achieve political and military goals." Here is the direct connection. The same Shahed 136 drone design that Iran licensed to Russia is the drone that has been hitting Ukrainian cities for years. Ukraine has spent 4 years learning exactly how these drones navigate, what their heat signatures look like, how they exploit radar gaps, how they behave in swarms, and most importantly, the cheapest and most effective ways to take them down. According to CNBC, Zelenskyy in Saudi Arabia said directly, "Now into the 5th year, Ukrainians are resisting the same kind of terrorist attacks, ballistic missiles and drones, that the Iranian regime is currently carrying out in the Middle East." That is not a diplomatic talking point. It is technically accurate. The drones Iran is using in the Gulf are evolutionary descendants of the same design Ukraine has been defending against. And according to Fortune, Russia is reportedly now supplying Iran with upgraded Geran 2 variants, meaning Iran may soon be using drones with improvements that Russian engineers developed based on battlefield feedback from Ukraine. Ukraine intercepting those drones in the Gulf is Ukraine intercepting its own problem at the source. Ukraine is not doing this out of charity. The return side of these agreements is critical for Kiev's own war. According to Euronews, Zelenskyy's top priority from these partnerships is PAC-3 missiles for Ukraine's Patriot air defense systems. He told reporters directly, "We are feeling the shortage of PAC-3 missiles. With only around 60 of those produced per month, many are supplied to the Middle East. Gulf states have Patriot systems and the missiles to run them. Ukraine needs those missiles to defend against Russia's ballistic attacks on Ukrainian cities. The exchange is drone expertise for missile supply." Beyond immediate defense hardware, the 10-year agreements include what Zelenskyy described as joint defense industry projects, co-production facilities, and technological partnerships between companies, per his ex-post about the Qatar deal confirmed by Fortune. The UAE and Saudi Arabia also bring energy cooperation, which matters enormously for Ukraine's economy under sustained Russian attack. According to Fortune, Gulf nations are paying at least partially in energy supplies, with a financial component also expected. The strategic repositioning angle here is significant. According to Oleksandr Kryev of the Ukrainian Prism Foreign Policy Council, Middle Eastern nations have had long-standing relations with Russia, but that is changing. Ukraine is offering something Russia cannot: proven, affordable, combat-tested solutions to the specific Iranian drone threat these nations are currently facing, delivered by people who have been fighting that exact threat every day for 4 years. Here is the uncomfortable position Russia finds itself in right now. On one hand, according to Fortune and multiple economic reports, Russia is profiting from the Hormuz crisis. Higher global oil prices mean more revenue for Moscow from its own energy exports. The strait's closure is generating exactly the kind of global economic pressure that benefits a petrostate like Russia. Putin is watching the world's oil supply contract and his income increase. On the other hand, according to Fortune's reporting, while Russia profits financially from the Gulf crisis, it is simultaneously watching Russia's influence in the rest of the Middle East slip away. Nations that once relied on Russia for weapons expertise and security guarantees are now turning to Ukraine. The Gulf states buying 10-year defense partnerships with Kyiv are the same nations that were previously in Russia's orbit through energy and arms relationships. Ukraine is not just selling drones in the Gulf, it is replacing Russia as the preferred defense partner in the region. For Iran, the picture is equally problematic. Tehran's strategy of arming Russia to build security ties has now generated an adversary, Ukraine, with uniquely precise knowledge of Iranian drone capabilities and the credibility to transfer that knowledge to Iran's immediate neighbors. According to the Defense News, Zelensky's proposal remains in the negotiation phase for maritime elements, but the air defense and drone interception component is already operational. 201 experts are already on the ground in the Gulf. Let's zoom out. A country fighting for its survival, with 273 Russian drones launched at it on the night of March 28th alone, according to the Globe and Mail, simultaneously flew its president to 3 Gulf capitals, signed decade-long defense agreements, deployed 201 experts to the region, and positioned itself as the key technical partner for reopening one of the world's most important waterways. That is not a small thing. The mechanism is elegant. Iran gave Russia drones. Russia used those drones against Ukraine. Ukraine learned to defeat those drones cheaply and effectively. The Gulf states are now facing those same drones. Ukraine is now the only country on Earth with 4+ years of daily operational experience defeating the exact Iranian drone design that is blockading the Strait of Hormuz. That experience has a market value of billions of dollars and strategic value that money cannot fully quantify. According to Euronews, Zelenskyy summed it up. It is about exports and about opening up exports, but it is the right kind of opening, where we understand that we are not selling our experience for nothing. The 10-year timeline means that long after Operation Epic Fury ends, Ukraine will have financial, military, and political ties with some of the wealthiest nations in the world, nations that are now deeply invested in Ukraine's survival, because Ukraine's expertise is protecting their infrastructure. Here's the honest picture. The Strait of Hormuz is still largely closed as of late March 2026. Ukraine's experts are on the ground, but defense systems take time to integrate, train on, and deploy. Sea drone operations in the strait, if those elements of the deal are finalized, would require months of preparation to execute safely in an active conflict zone. This is not a switch that flips overnight. What has happened in the last week is a strategic realignment, not an immediate tactical fix. Iran built its drone empire by giving Russia what it needed 4 years ago, expecting security ties in return. Instead, it created a country, Ukraine, with the precise expertise to arm and train Iran's most important adversaries at exactly the moment those adversaries needed it most. Nobody in Tehran saw that coming. And based on the reporting, and nobody in Washington fully anticipated it either. But it is happening. And the 10-year clock is now ticking. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one. This video is based on publicly available reports, official statements, and defense analysis. Some details may be subject to change as the situation continues to develop.